winds 58 miles an hour, gusting up to 83 in Burbank Airport.
Wow.
So we're likely going to start seeing some trees coming down and some power outages right now around a good portion of the San Fernando Valley. Here's a look at the Eaton fire from our Mount Wilson camera. You can see how intense this flame front is right up along the ridge line here. Some of the wind speeds around this fire are still very intense. You can see
ease the flow of the hot, searing embers that these winds have been kicking up. You can see all those embers just lit up, flying into the air, and that's been causing all these spot fires. This home, sadly, is gone. And as Mikey sort of pans down to the right down the street we'll go toward PCH, and you can see home after home as you look down here on Radcliffe. Fire everywhere you look. That was a huge 3-story mansion down right at the corner there of the cliff where you make the right-hand turn, go to Temescal and over to Palisades High School. That is gone. Looking through what used to be a 2-story home here, nothing but embers. But up on the hillside, we talk about fire everywhere. Look at that roaring flames up there on top of the hillside. That's the top of the bluff by my estimation, by my thoughts, where you have great views. A lot of the locals go over there. There's a small park, lots of nice benches, great view of the Santa Monica Bay below PCH. Those are some incredibly wonderful homes up there, and that fire looks like it's now roaring into that neighborhood up to the bluff itself. And then down here just below all of that is what's left of these homes here on Radcliffe. This was the first area that was hit, maybe about 3 hours ago, as the fire jumped sunset and just kept moving. This place, just some hot spots and what's left of the brick chimney, really all that's standing here. But as this burned, the wind was blowing the flames, and I should say really more importantly, the burning embers across Radcliffe, blowing them in that direction. And that's why it jumped across the street over here to where we have the homes burning now. And it's continuing further east. But I've got to tell you, in the last maybe 15 minutes or so, we're getting these gusts of wind that come through here. They continue to do that. But the thing is, they're now seemingly kind of blowing the embers toward the ocean, blowing them toward PCH. Before we saw them blowing it toward the east. But see, as this gust comes through, look at the embers. They're not blowing toward the camera. They're blowing down toward PCH, and that is where the firefight continues. We just saw a line truck from Cal Fire with maybe about a half dozen strike team members heading in that direction. And I assume they're probably going to try to put a fire line down there to try to deal with the flames that they hit the bluff, because they don't want them to continue to go down. But this area of Radcliffe, just along Temescal Canyon, it is a total loss. It is burning. Everything is burning here. I hate to tell you, several homes lost. The area evacuated several hours ago. No power, no cell service. So we're not thinking, as LAPD was going door to door earlier, and also with their loudspeakers on their black and whites telling everybody to get out, mandatory evacuation. The good news in this sense is that they've got everybody out of here, no loss of life we're praying for, but now it's just a battle to keep the homes from going up. Some more fire trucks. Mikey will give you a look. There's another unit pulling in here. We've had engine 10 from Long Beach here the last hour or so, finally moving in. This one also coming in from, what can I read? Also Long Beach. Engine 13, City of Long Beach, also coming in. Mutual aid to help in the firefight here, as the firefighters trying to stage a line in Radcliffe. The embers blowing now off of Sunset, blowing south toward PCH, toward the bay, toward the water, and that seems to where this fire is marching unabated, just going that way, being fueled by these winds. And we're still getting those very strong gusting winds, and unfortunately these homes, they continue to burn with the debris. Look at all those embers just flying up. Looks like they're going to catch that tree on fire next. It's a battle where you don't know where. If you had firefighters here, I don't think they would know even where to start. It is just out of control. Everything burning, fires everywhere.
Yeah, and that's the reality. I mean, we heard from LA County Fire, Sheila Kelleher, saying basically it's like trying to fight a tornado. You let the tornado go through, and then you deal with the aftermath after, which is such a sad way to look at it when this is your home that is under destruction. It's completely engulfed in flames. That is the reality at this hour.
And what we think of what this aftermath will look like, this neighborhood will not be anything close to the same for years, if ever. And you think about all the students and their schools that just got impacted in a big way. I mean, these stories, we often talk about them when the flames are there and everybody's attention, and then the media moves on. But this will impact all these folks' lives for the rest of their lives. And it's a big area of people that are being impacted by what we're seeing here. And it is a picturesque, family-friendly, beautiful, affluent, safe neighborhood that people aspire to live in. And that neighborhood will never be the same after tonight. But again, we have this message. This can be replaced. Thankfully, so far, we do not have any word of any injuries, which is amazing considering all these images that we've been looking at throughout the night. A lot of people seem to be heeding the warnings, but not everybody. Governor Gavin Newsom in town tonight, part of the response at the press conference earlier, he talked about the need to heed the evacuation warnings.
We're just getting this word from LA Mayor Karen Bass that the city of LA has declared a local emergency in response. So we saw this earlier at the state level with Governor Newsom reaching out to President Biden and getting FEMA dollars headed our way. Well, now the city of LA is doing the same thing to help clear the path for a rapid recovery, as the note says here from Mayor Bass's office. Making it a point to say, that the thousands of families impacted by this horrific fire, the city of LA is providing resources and shelter as this emergency continues. She was out of the country
in Ghana on a diplomatic mission, something she was very involved with when she was in Congress working on Africa issues. But a lot of folks wish she was here in Los Angeles tonight. She's on her way back here to try to deal with this issue.
So LA City declaring a state of emergency to help clear the path to get more money and resources to all of the impacted residents. So that is good news. Also getting word that all Malibu schools will be closed again tomorrow due to the Palisades fire. That goes without saying. The district Santa Monica campuses are expected to be open. That's interesting. So the district Santa Monica campuses are expected to be open tomorrow, but a final decision will be made at 6 a.m. Wednesday. So there's a but there as well. And there is also the Los Angeles Zoo. If you perhaps had a plan to go to the zoo tomorrow, they've put out a note that they will be closed tomorrow because of the dangerous wind.
And those Malibu schools were closed today proactively, not wanting, because they were afraid of a fire breaking out in Malibu. Obviously, that fire breaking out in Pacific Palisades just down the street from Malibu. So far, so good when it comes to the city of
that to continue to spread. So Sunset Boulevard near Temescal Canyon in both directions were shut down. So we had a line of cars of people who were trying to get out who couldn't. They couldn't get out through Temescal Canyon toward PCH because there were downed power lines. Those power lines were de-energized, but they couldn't drive through them because otherwise they would have gotten tangled through it. But again, right now what we're seeing is just this fire over here continuing to explode in this wind. It is just really out of control. And what you can't see through the smoke is just next to it, maybe you can right there, is another building that is completely on fire. So again, this is just such a tough situation. I am hoping that everyone was able to get out safely. Again,
It started out as a brush fire for those that are asking how it started. So I'm letting it play so you guys can get some details. Everybody, make sure you guys are safe. Shout out to everybody. Y'all keep Sylvia, Becky, and everybody in the West Coast in this area in your prayers, y'all, because it's a lot.
They stay. All right, Darsha, we appreciate that. We want to send it back out to NBC4's Robert Kovacic, who continues our live team coverage there on Amalfi and Sunset Boulevard there in the Palisades. Robert.
Michael and Kathy, if there is a belly of the beast with this fire, you may be looking at it right here. We are off of Casale Road, and we are watching this, what looks to be almost like the center of a volcano. And here you see the wind swirling. Just minutes ago, it was clear, and it just continues to swirl. And unfortunately, the flames are moving uphill right now. There are two homes right there. You can probably see their beautiful glass fronts. And if you live in this area, we are monitoring this closely for you. We see the fire that is sort of crawling up this hillside on that side, right there where those two homes are. And then one immediately in front of us, David, you can see right there that these are flames here. The wind is pushing it in so many different directions that, it's one of those things that when we come here with our news van, we make sure that, you know what, we keep it running and it is facing in a direction that we can get out and get out quick, as we have learned from firefighters over the decades. Because again, this is a fire that just seems to be figuring out just what it wants to do and going at different places at different times. So unfortunately, what our view here from what should be a lovely vantage point throughout the year here in the Pacific Palisades is right now the center of catastrophe, with homes that are in peril. And we have people right here. As David shows you this shot, I'm going to go walk over here and see what's happening here with some of our other people that have been evacuated. We spoke with a man who just said, I'm just trying to get my mother out right now. This is sort of the area that we showed you before. This was the Amalfi and Sunset area of the Palisades. Again, all the Palisades under evacuation orders, but this one swiftly became, you got to get out and get out now. And so this is just walking down the street. Look at there. There's another flank of the fire. And so when I say this deep canyon here in the Palisades is right now where this fire has just come here, and it is churning and it is burning and it is sending embers and it is going in any which way. It just keeps going in different directions. So I want to give a shout out to our friend Steve Concialdi with the Orange County Fire Authority. He does confirm with NBC4 tonight that OC Fire is sending support here, understanding that the area here in LA County may be under much more of an extreme duress than in Orange County. So we're getting some help from neighboring counties. We've seen beach communities also send firefighters up here as well. So, you know, they have the resources. The problem is that we are witnessing tonight, it's just, how do you get those resources to where it needs to go? I'm pausing because it sounded like it was almost like a clap of thunder out there. It is, and what that is the sound of the wind swirling. So here we go. Another, David, careful right here. You see, there's LAPD coming to try and clear this area out, making sure no one's here. We haven't seen a lot of people here. We're going to come right up here again and show you, careful here, from this ledge. So the fire right now continues to burn, out of control, and there are, again, a number of homes that are being threatened at this hour. We have also heard from a number of our viewers. I am fielding messages and texts from them. Some say, I know we've lost 4 homes on our cul-de-sac. I know that this friend lost a home, this friend lost a home. So people are now just hearing about their properties that are not only been destroyed, that have been damaged, but unfortunately, if you are watching this live shot right now and you live in this area, these are the homes right now, these really spectacular homes in one of the most coveted places to live in all of the nation right now, that are directly in harm's way as this fire just sort of roars up one hill and then decides to roar up another. So this is the cauldron that we are looking at here in the Pacific Palisades, just to explain to you why we are looking then at the LAPD and why we have seen them going up and down these streets telling people to get out. This is the reason right here, everyone, because this fire right now is raging in this specific area, and it's been raging in this area known as the Pacific Palisades since about 10:30 this morning.
Robert, when you say belly of the beast, you are not kidding. That is exactly what it looks like. You talked about the embers
just
flying in.
Heartbreaking, Kathy.
Yeah, it
just
really is. And the other thing that you said, normally this would be a beautiful view. Yes, indeed, on a beautiful day, which is how we started the day, even with the winds. But tell me, how strong are the winds where you are right now, and the air quality? Can you describe?
It really just sort of, you're looking at, just sort of, if you could just watch the smoke, then you can see, wow, it's changing direction. It's moving this way. It's moving this way. So it's swirling. We have the gusts that David Bigger and Melissa McGee and Belinda Leone and Stephanie Olmo and our meteorologist and our incredible weather team have warned us about. We're getting those gusts. We certainly are. Just take a look at the trees right there. You can see it's blowing But again, just watch the smoke and you don't know which way it is going to blow. And just to go back a short time ago, we spent the afternoon at the Palisades in the Highlands telling you that the firefighters, LAFD, these guys, somebody I'd worked with for a long time said, it's all going to the beach, Robert. It's all going to the beach. It's all going to the beach. And then a half hour later, we were walking you east on Sunset, saying that this fire is now pushing east. And we know now that it is. It's forcing evacuations in Brentwood. It's forcing evacuations Mandeville Canyon. And then we were back down by PCH. And there it was, just, moving not only down PCH in both directions, heading west, heading east, and then jumping PCH and just taking out those tractors that clear the sand. And as we showed you live on NBC4 just about an hour ago, one of the stations that Will Rogers State Beach has set up for lifeguards and for facilities for you all to use, completely on fire. Nothing you can do. And that is when I underline heartbreaking, because even though we are surrounded with the best fire teams in the entire world, there is little that they can do in a fire like this. And so what you have heard from elected officials and what you have heard from fire officials and what we have heard from longtime residents, this is something many of us have never seen before and certainly don't want to see again. I don't know what is happening to some of the homes here because, again, Kathy and Michael, you see right there in that smoke, 2 minutes ago, we showed you those two homes. You can't see them anymore. Yeah. That doesn't mean there's anything happening. It just means that the fire and the smoke is clouding our view right now from this vantage point. Again, what you could describe as looking into the center of a volcano. But this is, ladies and gentlemen, Pacific Palisades.
Rob, you've done a great job in illustrating how the winds have shifted from every location you've been in. And again, this is just proof of it yet once again. All right, Robert Kovacic, they're live for us. We want to get you up to speed here, folks. It's 9 o'clock. At this hour, 2 fires, as we've been telling you about, are burning out of control in our area.
The latest one, the Eaton fire, is near Altadena, and then the one you just saw there from Robert's vantage point, the Palisades fire that we have been covering. We have the latest on both breaking news stories.
We begin with the Eaton fire that burned at least 400 acres just within the last half hour. We've seen several patients being evacuated from a senior center. This is on Altadena and Washington in the city of Pasadena. Elderly people there, you see them in wheelchairs getting loaded onto a bus and into other vehicles to get them out of harm's way. Now, the Pasadena Unified School District says all schools will be closed tomorrow.
The other fire we're following, the Palisades fire, we've been covering it since 11 this morning. It exploded to nearly 3,000 acres. That's the latest numbers we have right now. There are new evacuation orders for parts of Santa Monica, north of San Vicente, and again, all Malibu schools will be closed tomorrow.
All right, once again, we want to check in now with meteorologist David Bigger, of course, tracking the peak of these winds. David, and we're just about an hour away, huh?
Yeah, essentially. We are starting to see a couple of the gusts pick up across the region, but we will have a couple of hours of these gusts coming our way. And we're looking at some potentially damaging wind gusts with this. Even though we've already had a lot of trees coming down, we're now potentially looking at wind gusts getting up into that 60, 70 mile per hour range across a good chunk of some of our areas and some of our valley spots. I just wanted to show you what it looks like from our Mount Wilson camera right now, looking back toward the Eaton fire. Initially, when this fire started, it was essentially this pocket of our shot right here that was glowing. But you can see how this has been spreading out as it's been continuing to burn across the area. Very concerning, obviously, with the amount of embers this has been putting up. And we've also been watching a lot of wind gusts across the area. And also, I was just looking at some of the flight tracking apps out there. A lot of aircraft going into like Burbank, for example, are diverting and going to other airports right now because they can't land in the wind like this. I'm also not seeing a lot of firefighting aircraft up right now. This is the big challenge with all these winds, is it's almost impossible to fight from the air when we've got wind gusts that are getting up into the 60 or 70 mile per hour range. And as you look at some of the observation sites near where the fire is burning, like Eden Canyon Park, for example, this, by the way, this observation site's down where the flatlands are, right about where the entrance to the trailhead is if you are going to go walk up to up Eden Canyon. But it's been reporting wind gusts in about the 35 to 45 mile per hour range.
Orders, 10,000 homes threatened. We've seen dozens of structures burn from our perspective. More continue to burn. We saw this scene, which was a bunch of cars that were abandoned in the road. Fire crews needed to get them out of the way. They brought in a bulldozer to move them out of the way. They're now totaled on the side of the road in order to make way for emergency crews. We have seen emergency crews do their best, but these conditions are so bad that they can't be everywhere at every time. They're basically in a triage situation, and that means letting a lot of homes burn. And also, we have seen fires burning at the elementary school and high school in Pacific Palisades as well.
Let's give you a look at the time lapse of the Palisades fire. It broke out at 10:30 a.m. So it's been burning for almost 12 hours now. We've been on the air with continuous commercial-free coverage since then. And as you can see, that plume of smoke just raging out of the mountainside there. Those flames have not let up at all. And in fact, this started as just a small 10-acre, 20-acre fire, which is very similar to what we're seeing at the Eaton fire in Altadena, and then it quickly just exploded. And so now, again, we are closer to 3,000 acres. That is the official number given. About an hour and a half ago, we hope to get new updated numbers. We know that we won't hear official word from LAFD and all other city and county officials until 8 a.m. That is the next set press conference tomorrow morning at Zuma Beach.
Well, we've got reporters that have eyes on the ground right now, giving you a sense of what is happening as we speak. One of those is Ed Lascos and his photographer, Mike Armijo, who have getting blown away around a little bit right now. Ed, take your time, be safe, but see if you can tell us what you're seeing.
Yeah, that way we're getting some of these big gusts that come through here, and literally, you just saw they blow you over. I mean, that's how strong they are. And they're blowing now in a direction where they're kind of blowing from the hillside, from the mountainside down toward PCH. Radcliffe, you're right in the heart of the village of the Palisades, and this looks like a war zone here. Mikey will give you a look, home after home. The ones right near the camera, we lost them a couple of hours ago, smoldering debris. Further down on Radcliffe, as it runs parallel to Temescua Canyon, that's a two-story home. It is burning out of control. On the east side of Radcliffe, through those trees, you can see the flames licking up through some more homes over there, because initially, as this fire moved through, the winds were blowing from the west to the east, meaning they were blowing from the right side of your screen across to the left side, blowing all those embers in this direction. So the homes on this side hit first, started to burn, embers across the street. That neighborhood, that part of the neighborhood here on Radcliffe, burning, still burning, even as we speak. And down along there, past that area, as we look over toward, that is where some fire trucks have now stationed on Temescua. But looking up on the hill, the bluffs up there, a mansion fully engulfed, burning as some of the embers have hit that. And over to the far side, right at the edge of the cliff, we saw some fire engines, fire units moving in there a little while ago to try to maybe stop the spread of the fire if they can. In a sense, when you say that, just basically try to stop the flow of the embers as they go through. And Mikey, over here, through all of these trees, fire everywhere you look. That is looking up along Sunset westbound toward the Highlands, where the fire actually began several hours ago. That hillside is now lit up again, roaring, and especially it comes to life with a huge wall of flames when you have these strong gusts that come through here. But it is unbelievable, this area where we have lost several homes. This one over here has been one that we had some fire engines and firefighters coming from the city of Long Beach about 2 hours ago, the first that we saw in this neighborhood, and they've been doing a great job on structure protection to keep this fire. We've lost this home, unfortunately, but they've been doing a great job to keep it from burning up the hillside, up toward Radcliffe, up toward it. We're just a block away from Gelson's, the Gelson's Market on Sunset, if you're familiar with the area. So they're doing a good job with structure protection. So slowly we see some more of the fire units moving in here, digging in, trying to stop the spread as much as they can. That is a big area down there on Radcliffe where you still have a lot of flames moving through there. I'll get out of the way so Mikey can give you a look. Through the trees, that's a home, sadly, that's also burning. The embers, I think, hit the eaves of the home, and then up it went, unfortunately. We saw a CAL FIRE strike team move in there a little while ago, about a half dozen strike members with their picks and their axes going in there to try to probably dig some line. But everybody, all hands on deck, trying to do whatever they can here. The area long evacuated, no power, no cell service. We haven't seen LAPD in about the last hour. I say that because they were going around with their black and whites with their loudspeakers telling everybody to get out. Mandatory evacuations, as one of the officers said, get out now. Don't waste time. Evacuate eastbound on Sunset. That's been the main evacuation route. So the entire area is sealed off. Fire engines moving in, firefighters moving in, but many of the hillsides here in the Palisades, many of the homes, beautiful homes up on the bluff, burning as we speak. No end in sight to this wildfire. Back to you guys.
That has been the scene from neighborhood to neighborhood, unfortunately. Ed Lascos, Mike Armijo, thank you so much. Let's go to Chelsea Edwards and photographer Elliot Mendoza on the ground along PCH. Changing conditions there, Chelsea?
Just the wind continues to blow, the temperature continues to drop, and these homes just continue to burn. I mean, we've lost count of how many we've seen at this point. Up there, that is the most active one right now. That's up on the ridge that's above this mobile home park here off of Terrace Circle. So there's some, it looks like there's some large homes up there, and one that had somehow managed to escape or evade these flames for this entire event have just gone up in the last hour or so. So not sure what happened, whether that was an ember or, if the wind just shifted directions, it just pushed the flames toward it. But that structure is now up in flames as well, as we've just been seeing time and time again. I mean, from where we've been watching, there have been full structures that were standing and there's just nothing there now. I mean, there's literally nothing left. That homeowner we've been speaking to all night who would not go on camera. I tried many times to get him to talk to us. He wouldn't. He's 80 years old, and he said, well, I guess there's nothing left for me to do here. Everything's gone. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do with the situation. So he finally is accepting help, and he's going to one of the evacuation shelters, thank goodness. But you just look at this devastation, and so many people are going to be so impacted by this. I mean, these are entire homes and communities in some cases, at least in these mobile home communities or these mobile home parks, that are just flattened. They're just gone. We don't know the extent of it yet. We don't know how many of these homes have been impacted, but we've seen so many. And these homes, especially these mobile home parks, they're put together so tightly that you can imagine, and what we saw when we got here, and those were up in flames, is that once one goes up, you've got that whole line of them that are likely going to go up as well, especially because there's no firefighting efforts here at all. I mean, we've been here for hours now. We have not seen any active mitigation efforts on any of the flames that we've been seeing anywhere here on PCH, but we have seen these emergency personnel going up and down, doing their very important work. Now, if we look to the south, you can see again just this glow, this orange glow, these embers, these spot fires. We saw a power line go down not too long ago. And you can see the outlines of some of the structures that are still there. A lot of them are gone, though. There's just nothing left to burn. So it really looks like this part of it, at least, everybody who's out is out. And the damage is done in this part of this fire. We're up against the ocean. This is the direction the wind is blowing, which is a good thing. Ooh, just heard a loud boom. We've heard a lot of those. Not sure what that was. But this wind is pushing these flames and the smoke out toward the ocean. There's nothing left to burn here. You've got this parking lot, you've got PCH, and there's no homes on this side of PCH. So that's a good thing. I think the damage has really just been done in these communities, though, unfortunately, that are on the other side of PCH. We're just seeing utter devastation here. Just incredible to watch. I mean, I have said this before, but I'll say it again. There are times where I just look up and it's so surreal. I feel like we're on a movie set, not actually standing in reality here. But this is unfortunately the reality of these wind events like this. I mean, there's only so much that firefighters can do. There's only so many preventative measures that people can take. And this is the situation that we're in. And unfortunately, because this wind event is going to keep going, it's hard to say what's going to happen overnight. What's going to happen as these winds continue to kick up. Again, right now they're kind of calm, but then we should get slammed with these huge gusts that kind of knock us around. So that's certainly happening up in the hills as well, and coming down these hills and going toward the ocean. So hoping that everybody is out of their homes, and just feeling for all of these people, all of these homeowners who have lost everything here tonight.
All right, Chelsea, yes, it is a devastating night all the way around. Thank you so much. We want to get to our coverage of the Eaton fire. This is burning in Altadena. This is a live look from our Mount Wilson camera there, and this has exploded to at least 400 acres. We do have some really, speaking of devastating images of the evacuation of a senior center. If we can bring that up to show our viewers here. This is, in fact, a live look. We have our Gina Silva. She's there on the ground, and this is her photographer bringing these live images. So it is a senior center that is being evacuated, and you see all of these poor people in wheelchairs, many with masks on, dealing with a lot of different issues. And then they have to reckon with the wind, the flames nearby, and just the uncertainty that they must be feeling, how insecure they must be feeling as well. Do we have our report? No. But who we do have on the line is from the city of Pasadena, Lisa Dedirdian. Thank you so much for taking the time out. Thank you for being with us tonight. What can you tell us about the Eaton fire and how it's impacting the city of Pasadena?
Yeah, as you mentioned, over 400 plus acres have now been impacted. Over 1,000 homes are threatened. We are currently requesting 50 strike teams. Each strike team's 5 engines, so numerous personnel. They could be coming from out of state to support us. We did evacuate that assisted living facility with the help of our police department. We have set up a shelter at the Pasadena Convention Center, and we do have mandatory evacuations. We ask that people please heed to those. We're taking this very seriously, especially when we see what's been going on all day in the Palisades. When we tell you to evacuate, please do so, and please be prepared for those also in the outside just the jurisdictions for evacuation.
All right, Lisa, thank you so much, and we will check back in with you later tonight. We want to go to the ground right now. Gina Silva is talking. Let's Gina, I'm not sure if you can hear us.
I'm buddy. So he was just telling me, the gentleman was nice enough to tell us that they were rescuing 92 patients.
Yes.
And describe for us just how quickly that fire got to the facility.
I'm not really sure. I just got here like 7 o'clock. I'm a night shift. Yeah.
Are all of the patients okay?
Yeah, they're fine.
I'll let you know. Thank you. Obviously, he's very busy, but just take a look. I know that we were at the nursing facility, and all of the patients were being put on gurneys and being transported to other locations, and that's what you're seeing here. 92 patients have been transported. When we were there, the fire was jumping the road and obviously getting way too close to that nursing facility. We're not sure if in fact it's going to survive, but it's not looking good. Again, this fire, just with these winds, you can see how strong they are, and it has just been unbelievable. Excuse me, are you guys with the nursing facility? Yeah. Get out of the way there. It's so chaotic here. We certainly don't want to get in the way of the firefighters and the rescue teams, but there are some family members here also who are concerned for their loved ones, but look, they're being taken in. This Pasadena SWAT vehicle is one of the transporters. I believe that's the case. Maybe I'm wrong. But were some of the patients transported in that?
I believe so.
Yeah, they were? Okay, thank you, sir. Yeah, they're using whatever they can. So they were transporting some patients there. I can see them inside in the Pasadena SWAT vehicle. They're using whatever they can to get these patients out of harm's way. And you can see that it is just absolutely just devastating out here. This fire is growing so fast. Again, it started at 6:30 with just about 20 acres, and it has just grown and grown. It's more than 200 now, beyond that. And there are so many people that were obviously stranded, unable to leave by themselves. And you are watching these elderly folks being helped out of this location. Again, we're at Washington and Boulevard in Altadena. This is where they brought them from the nursing facility. And again, that nursing facility was just too close to that fire. It was jumping the road, and I have just received notice that it's now 400 acres. So it just keeps growing and growing, and these winds are just not stopping, as you can see.
Gina, do you have any idea where they're taking these patients?
It's so hard to hear you say that one more time.
Yeah, so sorry. Do you have any idea where they are transporting all of these patients?
I have no idea where they're transported. Let me ask it. You know, I hate to interrupt people when they're doing their job because they're trying to rescue these folks who are you know, elderly. They're not in the best of shape, health-wise, you know, and so I got to let them do their jobs. But I'm sure they're being transported to different hospitals. Excuse me, ma'am. Where are the patients being transported to?
They're going to many places. We have transfer agreements with all the facilities. So
Different hospitals or different nursing
they're
facilities?
going to different. Some are going to the to the different facilities, civic center, and a hospital, and maybe a hospital. Everybody's going to a different location. Civic center for sure. Another skilled nursing facility.
Thank you so much for letting us know. So there is your answer. They're going to different facilities, but just take a look at the atmosphere here. Just this wind is just unbelievable. It is just wicked, and the smoke, obviously, you know, very difficult to breathe out here. And where we are, the fire is not that close to where we are, but you can see the smoke is still trouble, and also the wind. The wind is just not dying down.
Yeah, although we are seeing some embers right there, Gina, Joab showing us right now, and we know how quickly those embers can move in this sort of wind. Man, you think about how a fire impacts so many different people that you don't even necessarily think of. Those horses that Gina showed us, all these people and animals and all the rest of it that are impacted by this. But this scene is something that I'll never forget. Of all these folks who, you know, need as much help as they can, and the desperate effort to help them.
And Gina, to be clear, the nursing home that they were in is a ways away and was getting close. The flames were getting close to that. So then they evacuated them to this location.
Yes, this is the location where they brought them. When I got to the nursing home, there were still seniors there, and they were transporting them in ambulances and different vehicles, even in police vehicles, to this location. And from here, as you can see, they're taking them in all different kinds of vehicles. Even the Pasadena SWAT vehicle was transporting these elderly patients, and they're going to different facilities. Again, this is because of that fire that is just absolutely out of control right now. And we were told over 90 patients are being transported to the different facilities. But you can see here, it's such a chaotic scene right now.
Hey, everyone else, get in your vehicles and evacuate. All patients are good. Everyone get out of here if you can, all right? Stop moving out the area. Be careful. All right, good work, guys. Good work.
All right, so they're asking everybody to evacuate. Let me see if I can. Sir?
There's more patients down there if you guys want to record it. Down at the bottom, just with the wood chairs, they took them down.
Where are they?
Down at the bottom, like about two lights down.
All right, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Oh my goodness, this is just crazy.
It is crazy.
Scene out here.
It is crazy. Gina, just in your travels, did you see any structures burning in Altadena?
Yes, we did see a couple of structures burning. And like I said, that nursing home, I had to leave because it looked like it was about to go up. And the fire was already crossing the road. And part of the reason why it took us a little bit to get here was that my photographer and I, Joab Perez, we got separated. And when he tried to cross to get to my location, the fire was it was just too much. He couldn't get through. It was right in the middle of the road, and he had to go around. So it's just been a very, it's such a difficult time for the people who are living in this area. This Eaton fire is just out of control, and this wind is just not helping.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at that street sign that is being completely barreled over by the winds.
Which could be a very dangerous projectile if that thing separates too. Wow, this is crazy.
Yeah. And again, the name of that facility is the Two Palms Nursing Center. Two Palms Nursing Center. Are you with the facility?
No, I'm not with the facility. I'm just a helper bystander. Yes.
And you're saying how many more patients
There's
are
like about 6 or 7 down there. That's where we're heading down there right now.
How far down?
Like about two streets down.
Streets down?
Yes.
Well, it's a difficult call. We either walk down, we leave our vehicles here, and we don't know if the fire is going to get any closer. But we'll try to head on down.
Yeah, why don't you take a beat and you guys discuss amongst yourself the way that you think is safest for you to go. We don't want to put any pressure on you in terms of that. And we will go back to you when you think that it's safe. But wow, what a scene. What a scene right there. And the human drama of all, and looks like some great work by everybody and getting everybody out quickly.
That was something to
Team
see.
effort. Wow.
The seniors being in wheelchairs, being put into SWAT vehicles to be taken to another senior facility or a nearby hospital. We wish all of them the best, of course. 92 in all is what we're hearing. Evacuated from the Two Palms nursing facility. This is the live picture from Mount Wilson. When we first reported this fire, more than 90 minutes ago, it was 10, 20 acres, and there was just a small plume here, and now that has just exploded, and it reminds us of the Palisades fire, of course. That's the other big fire that we're covering and have been covering since that one erupted almost 12 hours ago at 10:30 this morning.
Takes up our whole screen now. It was just a small blip not that long ago. All right, let's go back to the other fire burning in Southern California. Christy Fajardo with the Palisades fire. Christy.
Yeah, in just the last couple of minutes, we started getting very, very heavy gusts. It's basically pushing us around. And when that happened, all the flames, everything that was on fire just exploded. The flames just got so much bigger. And in the last live shot I showed you, this is Palisades Charter Elementary, and it is on fire. When we went up the steps to look, we saw that some buildings were burning, others were not. Over here, it looks like something, perhaps a rock wall, has also caught fire. And this is the backside of the school. This is the part on Swarthmore. And even in the last 10 minutes, if we pan that way, I can show you a house caught fire. And further down the road, multiple homes are burning. In fact, there was a man who drove out who told us that dozens of homes were on fire. And as we were going down there, it became too dangerous, so we had to turn around. But the conditions are just worsening. They're not improving for firefighters. These winds are just blowing embers all over the place. And we're seeing palm trees catch fire. Sadly, homes, a school, also businesses on De La Cruz. Business there looks like it's a total loss. It's right next to the Frontier Communications building. Vegetation on the Frontier's Communication building has also burned, but fortunately does not look like the building has. And down the road from us, going in the opposite direction, closer to Villa de la Paz, we are starting to finally see firefighting resources. We saw a couple of fire trucks in that other direction, and just a few minutes ago, a Cal Fire pickup went through here and seemed to be surveying the area. And if we pan to the right, see another home is burning. And again, as I said, a man told us that further down the street, he saw dozens and dozens of homes burning. He's a property owner. He had gone to check on his properties. He said it was not safe. So he got out. He also advised us not to go down there either. And this is the house that I showed you earlier. And now it looks like it's a total loss. That house there was on fire, then caught this one on fire. And if we pan to the right, you can see these flames and the rain of embers have ignited other homes on fire as well. So that is the latest right now from Swarthmore. Let's send it back to you.
One devastating scene after the other. Christy Fajardo, thank you. You and your crew stay safe. We have some new video into the newsroom, and this is from a stringer, a photographer on the scene from TNLA, Sal Hirsch, who shot some video of an injured firefighter being rescued by Cal Fire, it looks like, getting tended to here. And I believe that Sal is on the line with us right now. Sal, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for the great work that you do. So tell us about this incident. This is while fighting the Palisades fire, one injured firefighter.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not exactly sure what agency that firefighter was with, but they put out a mayday call. Apparently, she may have had some sort of blow to the head, and she was in unknown condition. So we were just right down the street filming some of the destruction that ensued prior to that incident, and we got there pretty quick, and we saw Cal Fire crews as well as some LAFD personnel lifting her on a on a thing, and they put her on the back of a pickup truck and ended up transporting her out of the fire zone. So it was definitely a pretty hectic scene, very crazy, and I just hope she's going to be okay.
Was she conscious? Was she talking to them?
It looked like her eyes were open. I didn't see her physically talking or anything, but her eyes were open, which is a good sign.
So this is the Palisades fire. What location was this within the Palisades?
This was on Bowdoin Street and Via de la Paz.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, we've been reporting all day, you know, and it's been great to report. The only good thing that we can report is we haven't heard of any injuries. So at least we know of, unfortunately, at least one firefighter injured in this firefight. Did you see anyone else being treated while you were there?
No, not while I was there. That was luckily the only injury that I did witness. But like I said, you know, just hope she's going to be okay. So,
can you talk to us about your reporting experience tonight? What's it been like for you out on the roads?
Yeah, I mean, it's just been the most apocalyptic scene that you could imagine. I mean, we've been here all day. We have a team of 5 photographers that have been here all day. And, you know, it started off, you know, obviously very intense and everything. But as, you know, the winds kind of intensified towards the evening, things just have gotten way out of control. The fire activity is extremely erratic. The wind is just so unpredictable, blowing in all directions. You know, they had to cancel the aircraft from above, so that was a big, you know, a big blow for firefighting efforts, but necessary. And, you know, it's just, like I said, it's just extremely apocalyptic. That's the only way to really describe it.
Wow. Well, we hope that you and your crew remain safe. Sal Hirsch, freelance photographer from TNLA. Thanks so much for the work that you do.
Thank you.
He was talking about the winds. Let's talk more about the winds from the expert on that front. Our meteorologist, Adam Kruger, has been tracking that all day.
Yeah, guys, and so as expected, the winds intensifying tonight. We're seeing that just play out in the video. It's just amazing images. I'm going to start with some of the evacuation maps, though, and I want to remind anyone who's around this area, might be concerned, you can see this for yourself at fire.ca.gov. You can zoom in street level and see whatever you want. But this is for the Eaton fire now, so we're looking north of Pasadena. We have this large red area. That's an evacuation order. That's mandatory. Then we have evacuation warnings, which are optional, but they may change over to orders. So people in the warning areas need to be ready to go if that order comes through. We see this now south of the evacuation order, but also now east, just north of Sierra Madre. We see an evacuation order there as well. Give you a little perspective. Here's Pasadena, and this little spot right here on the left side of your screen is the Rose Bowl. So again, we're talking about this area kind of north and northeast of Pasadena. That's the Eaton fire. Then, of course, you know about what's going on in the Pacific Palisades. We have that evacuation order that extends to just into the northern section of Santa Monica. This is San Vicente right here. And so north or west of there, that's the evacuation order. And then we have this area known as north of Montana.
Pasadena, but the city of Pasadena knew that this was going to be a catastrophic wind event. And they said earlier today that they might have to turn off power through the Pasadena Water and Power Department because they were, you know, concerned about these winds and power lines and what have you. They also, you know, there was a church that set up an evacuation shelter for people earlier. So, you know, I think also not too far from here, Pasadena had a big tree come down onto an apartment complex earlier today. And, you know, I think it was maybe 14, 15 years ago, they had another massive wind event like this blow through town and do millions and millions of dollars in damage. And, you know, when you're talking about this area, Pasadena and Altadena, there are just so many like big historic trees here, lots of vegetation. So, and, you know, there's a lot of people who live in here, too. It's kind of like densely packed in a lot of these areas, particularly in the hillsides. So it's kind of a recipe for disaster when you have a wind event like this.
It sure is. All right, Nicole, thank you very much. Now on KCAL News at 9:30, we have new information. Here's the very latest. Dozens of seniors who were evacuated from a senior living home in Altadena have now been rescued. They had to sit in their wheelchairs and beds outside in a parking lot for a very long time, but a convoy of ambulances and city buses moved in and took them to safety just within the last 30 minutes.
And we were glad to see it. And here is what's new and breaking at 9:30. The Pacific Palisades fire has now burned at least 2,900 acres. 30,000 people are now under evacuation orders. And we have watched homes burn all night, but there is no official count on exactly how many homes have been lost. And we've got even more evacuations to tell you about. And we do have new numbers on power outages, though. Just in, Edison reports 40,000 customers lost power because of the windstorm. And Edison cut power on purpose to another 35,000. And Mike Rogers is at the desk with more new information here at 9:30. Mike?
Yeah, here's the latest. I've got new evacuations to tell you about in the Eaton fire, where our Nicole Comstock was this.
Again, winds are picking up right now. They'll be at their peak really from about now through about 9 a.m. and the humidity goes lower tomorrow. Two things working against us. Just to kind of wrap this all up with a map of the warnings, we've got that high wind warning, all areas in yellow, most of Southern California. That's in effect until 6 p.m. tomorrow. And then we see the red flag warnings, which has to do with the wind and the dry conditions and conditions that are favorable for fires to spread. So that's in effect through Wednesday, but also Thursday, not for LA and parts of LA County, but all these other areas. This remains in effect into Thursday. And then the last thing I'm going to show you here is a fire weather watch that extends into Friday. So this is an area that may switch over to a red flag warning once we get a little closer to it, which means this is basically 4 days, likely it'll end up being 4 days of red flag warnings. The worst of the winds, yes, they end after the end of the day tomorrow, but still it's going to be breezy with dry conditions and some type of Santa Ana winds likely to last into Friday. And so, you know, it's a long week here. It's already been a long day. It's going to be a long week where we really need to pay close attention to what's going on. We'll head back to you now.
All right, Adam, we thank you so much. Let's bring in Christy Fajardo. She's had some really dangerous situations behind her, and she joined us now live from the firefight in the Palisades. Christy?
Yeah, Marla, we have talked so much about how this is a wind-driven fire and also how unpredictable it is. And we're seeing evidence of that right here. When we walked by 5 minutes ago, you did not see all of these embers that are flying. And we'll get a gust, and then you'll see them fly up into the air. You can see some over there. And if you watch closely, they're going in different directions. It's almost like a whirlwind. And they're landing on homes. And if we pan that way, you can see something is burning behind there. I know that there is a power pole that is on fire, but that much of a glow suggests that it's something much larger as well. And those embers that you saw flying are actually coming from Palisades Charter Elementary. Something is burning right on the other side of that fence. You've watched that fire come in our direction. We're actually on Swarthmore. And the rain of embers have ignited other fires. In fact, I showed you some homes that were burning earlier. Now we're seeing multiple trees, and at one point it looked like a car was going to go on fire. There were palm fronds that were underneath it that were burning, and Gino, who is behind the camera, thought very quickly, and he was able to move those fronds away from that car, and that car luckily does not appear to be damaged. But unfortunately, there's really nothing we can do to save the homes and the elementary school and the other buildings that we see burning. And also, you heard firefighters and the LAPD telling people to evacuate hours ago. And this is why the visibility is really, really poor. And you add into that all the smoke and also the wind. In fact, Gino, can you pan this way? Look at what the embers are doing now. Gino, pan towards the school. Look, I want to show you. There just was one giant gust, and there we go again. Embers just flying everywhere. And this is what firefighters are having to deal with, and why they say this is like trying to stop a tornado. There's really nothing you can do when these embers are whipping around like this and landing on homes and landing on vegetation. They'll ignite sometimes blocks and blocks away, so they could be fighting a fire in one area and not even know that another is on fire. So witnessing very, very tough conditions tonight
for the firefight. Let's send it back to you.
That's an understatement, as you know, Christy, and it's tough for you to be out there in the crew. We appreciate you so much. This is the Palisades fire. We want to turn our attention back to the Eaton fire. This one erupted at 6:30 tonight, so it's been about 3 hours. This is our live picture from our Mount Wilson camera, and those flames now pretty much enveloping this whole hillside. At least 400 acres have burned. We just showed you, and we've heard from you on social media about just how horrifying and heartbreaking the images are that we brought you live of those seniors, more than 90 of them being evacuated from a senior facility taken by SWAT, in fact, to other local facilities. Gina Silva, she's moved. You're on the ground. Where are you now?
Yes, sadly, what you're watching is a house on fire. This is the 2300 block of Galbraith Road. And unfortunately, when we got here, it was, fully engulfed. LA County firefighters immediately arrived, and as you can see, they are putting out the flames. There is a person here with a water hose who has been watering down the house, but it wasn't doing much until the firefighters arrived. One of the neighbors, what is your name? Luis, so you guys were out here trying to help out?
I live right up the corner there. We live in the same building together. We were told to evacuate a while ago, and we went down and dropped some stuff off, but I came back up here because I saw all these spot fires coming up here, and I can't help but feel bad for all the people who live here, and we've never had a fire like this. I don't think as far as I've been alive, at least not down this close. So,
I mean, describe the wind conditions out here.
Oh, it's bad. It's horrific. I mean, just driving in the car, if you don't see any trees around, the car shakes like it's an earthquake. Yeah. That's how strong it is.
Luis, how are you holding up? ¿Cómo estás?
It's fine. Everything is fine. Yeah. So no problem. Yeah.
Where's your house? ¿Dónde está tu casa?
Yeah, this one. It's in the front.
And it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine.
How long have you lived over here?
About 3 years there. I think they live there a lot longer.
And your house is okay right now?
It's okay? Yeah, I think it's okay. Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, they're making really quick work, obviously, the LA County firefighters. Oh. It's an emotional reunion. They hadn't seen each other.
It's so funny. This is one of my best friends from high school.
Oh. How are you holding up?
Under better circumstances, it'd be so much nicer.
You hadn't seen each other?
In years. A long time. So last person I expect to see him is this guy, but somehow he found his way up here.
Yeah, how are you? I've been asking everybody how you're holding up with this.
I live in La Chiana, Flinders, but my godmother, she lives down the road, and so I was on my way to her house because she got told to evacuate. And then I saw this, and we all just pitched in to help.
Yeah, I saw everybody moving in using water. Unfortunately, it wasn't doing much because the flames were so strong. But as soon as the firefighters arrived, you can see now that the flames are out. There are obviously some hot spots, but not as what it was, when we first got here. And I got to tell you, we were doing the live report with the senior citizens who were being rescued, and we ended up walking a couple of blocks. And we talk about how fast these fires move. My car was parked at a 7-Eleven parking lot, and I decided to walk back to get my car to come to this location. And as soon as I got there, there was a brush on fire there near my car. Had I not picked it up, it probably would have gone up in flames as well. So it just moves so fast. These winds are just like something we've never seen before, or not in a very long time. And these embers, they just fly for miles and miles and start new fires, new hotspots. It's just absolutely insane. So far, as we've been reporting, it started at 6:30 with only 20 acres and now has gone beyond 400 acres, and it's growing. It's just not, we're not seeing any help from Mother Nature whatsoever. I'll send it back to you guys.
No, and in fact, overnight, the winds are supposed to pick up, as we've been hearing from our chief meteorologist, Adam Kruger, well into the morning. So the firefight will be a brutal one. We're not going to sugarcoat it at all, because that would just be false information. We wish that we could bring you better news, but the winds are still going to pick up overnight with those wind gusts in the Palisades clocking in at some points, perhaps at 70 plus miles per hour. We'll see if that actually comes to fruition.
And because of that, even if you don't live in one of these areas that is having a fire right now, but you live in an area that is fire prone, this is a good time to make sure you have your bags packed and you have your valuables ready to go, because the chance of another fire like this starting somewhere else in Southern California tonight is not insignificant. It would not be surprising if we looked at number 3 like this. So if this is a time to make sure your bags are packed, your stuff is ready to go, if need be, you've thought it through, so you're not shocked and surprised if in the middle of tonight, something else breaks out, because the winds are supposed to be even worse between 10 p.m., which we're about to get to, and 5 a.m. And the likelihood of another fire starting somewhere else is very high tonight. And so just know that as you get ready to go to bed tonight.
We want to take you to right outside the scene of Palisades High School, Palisades Charter High School, which we know their athletics fields burned and also some of the classrooms caught fire. Here's Matthew Seedorf with photographer Sam Dubin.
You can see we can walk across the street. This is towards the football stadium. I believe that is the score box on fire as we're going to turn this way with all these embers flying. I do have an anemometer with me. It's measuring winds gusting to 35, 40 miles per hour with flames on the other side of the street as well. Let's see if we can push this way. And I'm actually with photojournalist Sam Dubin. You went to this high school, Sam, if you don't mind. What's this like?
It's heartbreaking. This is my alma mater. The baseball field's totally gone. Some of the buildings are gone. This house across the street's gone. This is the newer aquatic center, the Maggie Gilbert Aquatic Center. Looks okay right now. The classrooms appear okay, but it's just heartbreaking for everyone who went to this school. A lot of people have gone here over the years.
Yeah, I can't imagine just seeing that, especially as your alma mater. And we're looking at, looks like the pool right now, and then looking across the street. So we're battling these winds. More buildings have burned down, and just this thick black smoke. Again, winds, it just stings because of all this debris flying around. Looking at my anemometer, gust 25 miles an hour right now, but we've seen probably close to 40. It's hard to put this into words, seeing this home up here on fire and all these other structures and even a high school. I'll go ahead and send it back to you.
Matthew, thank you so much. Live picture from Santa Monica, our Santa Monica camera looking out at those flames there. We've seen this all afternoon since this fire broke out at 10:30. We want to show you the scene earlier, though, and this was one of the most surreal images that we've seen today. In addition to all the homes that have burned, this scene here, these are a lot of cars that were abandoned by their car owners when they just got too afraid because the flames were closing in on them, and they abandoned their vehicles, and as a result it blocked this entire roadway. And so to get through, emergency vehicles needed to get through, and so LA Fire came in with the bulldozer and bulldozed all the cars out of the way, and many of them, Alex, have been deemed total losses as a result.
Yeah, and just moved them like toys. And some really nice cars we're looking at in a really nice neighborhood. So we want to play for you if you're just joining us and you were at work earlier today and want information from the press briefing. Here is, you're about to hear from the fire department spokesperson, the chief of LAPD, and the chief of the LA Fire Department. Here's some of what they had to say a few hours ago.
So questions about abandoned cars, that's a good question that has come up. Law enforcement assists us heavily with evacuation, but please remember it's an active incident. We don't have the answers to all of these questions. We will certainly look at that. That's very important. I don't know if police felt like they wanted to make a mention to evacuations. Okay.
Yeah, just on that question of evacuations, vehicles left in the roadway. If you have to leave a vehicle in the roadway, get it as far off the road as you can so that emergency vehicles can get by. The gist of moving them with bulldozers was an emergency situation. You got to get those fire resources through, and they do what they have to do to be able to facilitate that. So we're asking really for the cooperation and think a couple of steps ahead. It's not just your vehicle there, but then others line up behind you as well as they see what you're doing. And so I can't stress enough, please follow the evacuation orders. Do your best to be able to get out to safety. Bring the equipment you will need for the next couple of days with you, because as you've heard over and over again, this is not going to end very quickly.
No, it's not. And we're almost nearing 12 hours into this firefight in the Palisades. We've been showing you these numbers for a while now. They haven't been updated by Cal Fire. Our next briefing, we had one at 3:30 this afternoon. That's when we heard from LAPD Chief McDonald there, who you just last heard from. He was alongside Governor Gavin Newsom as well. That next briefing of officials won't take place until 8 a.m. tomorrow from Zuma Beach. So hopefully we'll get some updated numbers. But in the meantime, obviously, we know that this whole area, much of it is under mandatory evacuation because of the strong winds that will continue well into the night, into the morning of Wednesday, January the 8th. And we're going to be on with you through at least midnight, by the way. So you can count on us. Go ahead.
So we take you from this picture. Maybe we can take our other picture, which is from Mount Wilson, which shows the Eaton fire that we are also keeping track of, and some news from Governor Newsom, who was at that press briefing earlier today in Pacific Palisades. He just announced that they have secured federal funding for the Eaton fire. So we already got federal funding for the Palisades fire earlier in the day. Now, the Eaton fire also getting federal funding from President Biden, who just happens to be in Southern California tonight, and I think is kind of grounded because of what we've seen here. So he is also part of all of this tonight. But again, these are the live pictures. And every time we take this image from the Mount Wilson camera, we see more and more flames being wider and wider. This started as just a small part of the shot, and it now extends across the entire shot. At least 400 acres burned. We know that that number is now higher than that. And we see a lot of folks scrambling in the Altadena and Pasadena neighborhoods right now because of that fire. And again, a look back at the Pacific Palisades fire, which you can see from our Santa Monica cam, and really you can see from miles and miles in many different directions. Christy Fajardo is right in the middle of those flames. She's walking right now. Christy, if you can hear us, it's yours.
Yeah, we're actually on Swarthmore, and we saw some fire engines down here, so we decided to come down to investigate. And sadly, we're seeing another, what looks like a home, completely destroyed. And what is really telling is that we keep seeing buildings like the one on the right that appear to be made of concrete. There's another one, the Frontier Communications building, that appears to be made of brick. And those are faring very well. Even when vegetation is going up around them, they have not caught fire. But we've been talking about the winds, and you can see what they're doing with these embers. They hit those flames, and they just whip up all of these embers. And if we pan that way, you can see that they are carrying them down the street and towards buildings and homes that have not burned. And that is why firefighters are stretched so thin. There are so many fires burning all at once. And every one of these embers that you see flying has the potential to start another fire. So firefighters are trying to keep up with all of this, but there's really no way to do so. And over there on the right, that is actually Palisades Charter Elementary School. And sadly, we went up there, I went up the steps and we took a look. This is the back side of the school, and multiple buildings were on fire. Some of the buildings had not burned, and we can only hope that they will stay that way. But the playground, what looked like a rock wall, and other structures look like a total loss. And they've been on fire now for probably about 2 hours, and we've seen Cal Fire coming through and looking at it, but we've not seen any firefighters actually battling the fire at the school. But again, we are on the backside of the school. And I've talked so much about those embers and what they do to palm trees. And you could see evidence of it right there. The palm tree across the street and the three that we're looking at are all on fire. And those palm fronds, unfortunately, fall off the tree or they blow away and catch something else on fire. And we've witnessed that a house that was ignited precisely because of palm fronds that were burning were blown in its direction. And we also saw a car almost catch fire because it was parked on some palm fronds, and those caught fire from those rain of embers that you've seen. And luckily, Gino, who's behind the camera, noticed that, and he was able to pull the burning palm fronds away from the car and save the car. Unfortunately, we can't do that for the buildings you see here. And most of the people in this neighborhood have evacuated, although occasionally we'll see one car go by, like the one you just saw. But most of the people did heed it, and fortunately, because you would not want a mass of people trying to evacuate now. Visibility is very poor. The winds are really, really strong. In fact, I've been standing and almost knocked off my feet. That's how powerful they occasionally are. And that's also what firefighters are dealing with and what they fear at this hour. Let's send it back to you.
Chelsea, Christy Fajardo there. Thank you so much with Gino Arias. Thank you for all of your reporting tonight. We want to go back to the Eaton fire. This is in Altadena. Gina Silva, you were just showing us a home there, and this is the live picture again from our Mount Wilson camera that shows the embers, the flames aglow on this Tuesday night as we approach the 10 p.m. hour. This Eaton fire erupted at 6:30 tonight. This is a multi-agency response, including from Pasadena Fire and Angeles National Forest and LA County Fire. Let's check in with Gina Silva on the ground now. Gina, are you still in that same particular neighborhood?
I'm in the same neighborhood, and you can see that there are multiple fires.
Gotta go next street, okay? Please,
Okay,
next street.
thank you. Pasadena police are telling us that we have to move, and part of the reason is that we heard a loud explosion a little while ago. It was like a loud pop, Job, and they were like, what was that? It did not sound good. And there are several houses that are on fire. I'm trying to get to the end of the street to find out what the name is of the street, but as you can see, this entire neighborhood is in trouble. Sir, what's the name of the street?
Bella Vista.
Bella Vista?
Bella Vista.
Bella Vista. Bella Vista. So this is Bella Vista, and all of these homes have been evacuated. The officers are saying all of these houses are obviously in danger. They're in the path of this destructive fire that started at 6:30, and it continues to grow, and it is just absolutely devastating because now we're seeing multiple homes on fire, and the danger in that, of course, are the gas lines. You know, everything. I'm hoping that by now everything's been turned off, but there were still some folks in homes that did not want to leave, and officers are telling them, please, you've got to get going, you've got to leave. It is not safe. And as I told you earlier, you know, it just moves so fast. You're thinking you're safe in one location, and then boom, the next moment you're not. So it is a very precarious situation here. I believe that is Pasadena Fire. Yep, Pasadena firefighters are out there battling. We've seen LA County firefighters as well. And again, there's a mandatory evacuation order for multiple communities. We gave you the names earlier. I believe that all of those names of the streets have been the mandatory evacuation has been extended to other locations as well. But it's a very dangerous situation, and obviously you don't want to be here. I know we saw a couple of people in the other at the other home where they were just watering it down, and it wasn't making much of a difference until the firefighters arrived and doused it with their large equipment that they have, their hoses. And so that's the only way that you're going to be able to battle this fire. Other than that, a little bit of water from the small garden hose is not going to make much difference, unfortunately. Alex, Marla.
Gina, you've been covering fires for a very long time, and even some of our really bad fires lately you've been in the middle of. How does this compare to other stories you've covered over the course of your career?
Oh, this is insane. I mean, there's just no other way to describe this. We earlier, when we were showing you the woman bringing out the horses, we were surrounded by flames on both sides, and it was just getting stronger and stronger. So we had to leave that location. And of course, the wind, it is just so strong that at times it's hard to stand in one location. We've seen many downed trees. We saw that sign that was toppled over. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. I don't think I've ever seen winds this extreme.
And are you seeing that people are heeding the call to evacuate?
Yes. For the most part, people have left. There are some who are still kind of hanging around. You know, I understand it's their home. You know, they don't want to lose it. But again, your life is more important than property because that can be eventually replaced. But you want to be safe. And that's what firefighters, police officers are always telling us, you know, just be safe, get out, let the professionals try to handle the situation. And they are. There are so many agencies out here. There's LA County Fire, Pasadena Fire, different agencies that I cannot name right now, but I have to move out of the way here. But they're here battling it. Unfortunately, there are so many fires that are taking place right now. That's Cal Fire just arriving now, that it's impossible to be at all the places that are just going up in flames right now. It's just crazy.
Yeah, and of course, we know the last number we heard was, well, it started at 10, 20 acres, then exploded to 400. And, you know, we're waiting for Cal Fire, perhaps. They'll be the agency to update the number. Angeles National Forest, perhaps. But it's well beyond the 400 we can imagine.
Yeah, and that's growing. You know that is growing. Right now, as we mentioned, the names of the streets where there are evacuation orders, that's for Kinaloa Canyon Road, Outpost Lane, Glen Springs, Coolidge, Miranda, Roosevelt, Vernada, Ken Clare, and areas east of Altadena Drive. I'm sure by now that list has grown because this fire keeps moving and spreading.
We know that you're on the Eaton fire, but we're just getting this vital information about the Palisades fire. We had shown earlier video of the female firefighter being tended to. Now we're hearing that 25-year-old female firefighter did sustain a serious head injury while fighting the Palisades fire. She was treated at the scene and then taken to a hospital. This is from LAFD itself. And then this, multiple burn victims, according to LAFD, were reported walking toward Duke's Malibu restaurant. We know that right on PCH, approximately 9 o'clock tonight. Again, this is according to LAFD spokesperson Captain Eric Scott. Incident operations redirected medical resources to that location to provide evaluation and treatment. So
they may be grounded until the morning when the sun comes up. So we do have some of those restrictions that may damper our suppression efforts.
You talk about the wind, and we see embers flaring, and they're just getting shot through the sky. And these are big embers, of course, coming off of these structures. How easy is it for these things to get picked up by the wind and start other spot fires in other areas?
Yeah, it's so easy. These type of winds push the embers so far. We see sometimes 2 miles in front of the fire, landing in someone's backyard who may have dry grass or some receptive fuel bed where this ember can land and catch fire. And that's why we promote a lot of times our home hardening of, you know, protect your home and secure your home to make sure those embers don't get into your home at any time. Anyone who's evacuating now, it's important that we remind you to lock tight your home and close those windows and shut off your gas if you're capable to, and shut off the power to the house to prevent those embers getting inside and starting your house on fire. But these embers can land anywhere and start a fire at any time. And then you have a small fire ahead of the fire that's going to merge with the main fire and create that fire to be even bigger, faster than we want it to.
We're going to zoom out here, take a wider look at the Santa Monica Mountains. This is an area of Los Angeles that is mostly mountainous. People think of LA as this large concrete metro, but there are so many large hilly areas. That's why we see so many wildfires breaking out. This specific area is a large mountainous area right in between, as I mentioned, roughly Malibu and Santa Monica. When you look at these images and you look at the forward progression, the line of fire, if you will, can you explain to us how containment happens? How do they actually measure once a fire is beginning to be contained and once it's fully contained?
We look hard at the areas that we have resources on. So containment for us, it's considered, the forward progress of that fire stops. It is contained to this area and will no longer go any further from that section. So as you see that percentage and our statistics rise, that means a certain area of that fire is contained, but there's always the head of the fire that continues to burn. So usually you'll see our containment numbers rise, and that's reflective on the heel of the fire, where the fire has started, where the fire has gone and is just kind of slowly burning that area. We can contain those areas. But when the head of the fire, like a wind event like this, there's not much, a lot we can do to slow that thing down or stop it. So the head of the fire will continue, and we will start working up the flanks and bring where the fire has originated in the beginning, and then bring that to a stop for sure.
I'm sure you got to go here. We've got a busy night ahead of us here, but I just got to ask if you have any final messages for anybody that may be watching this, family, friends of people that live in the region. What messages do you have for the folks of Southern California?
If you have family or friends in the area, please check on them, make sure they're safe, and if they're stubborn on getting out, please reinforce them to leave now and leave your home now when you can, and get out and be safe and see your family in the end. And for any further information on the current incident burning in the Palisades, or even evacuation center information, you can visit our website at fire.ca.gov for the latest incident information.
Jesse Torres is with CAL FIRE. Jesse, we appreciate your time. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
As an evacuation and overnight shelter, which accommodates small animals. That's located at 1350 South Sepulveda Boulevard. Large animals can be taken to the LA Equestrian Center, which is in Burbank.
We have live team coverage tonight. Meteorologist Adam Kruger is watching those winds. Fox 11's Gina Silva, she's on the Eaton fire. That one erupted tonight at 6:30 in Altadena. Ed Lascos has reaction from devastated homeowners in Pacific Palisades. And right now, this is a live look from the ground in Palisades.
Yeah, is this Ed Lascos' picture? Ed, I don't know if you can hear us.
Yes,
yeah, you got it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Actually, we have just moved inside our live van. It's too threatening out there. These winds blowing hurricane force. I swear to you, I've never seen anything like this. You can see the embers blowing through here. So the cross here is Sunset. We are at Via de la Paz, right where the 76 gas station is here at Gelson's. And what you're looking at used to be on the northern end of this intersection, a 2- or 3-story apartment building, condo building that stretched up a couple of blocks. It has been burning, wall of flames the last couple of hours, coming down closer to Sunset. There's a gas station on the far side and the 76 closer to this side. But as these winds blow through here, you have a shower of embers. You see a little bit of them going through here, and wait till we get a very strong gust. It's a consistent wind, but you get these sustained gusts that actually have this live van swaying back and forth. And over to the left is also, Mike, you'll give you a look, that's the parking lot at Gelson's, and an idea of these embers that have been a big problem for firefighters. Behind us is Radcliffe. We've been looking at that the last couple of hours. Several homes over there also burned to the ground. We've been watching that the last couple of hours. Radcliffe runs parallel to Temescal Canyon, but it's right here in the heart of the village itself. Look at these embers. Look at this, the truck moving around, these embers blowing through here. It's a firestorm over in this area. And again, when these embers blow through and the wind picks up, you see what's left of that, the condo building, the apartment building on the corner. It just roars to life. And the fire, the wind's pushing it this way, pushing it toward PCH, which means there are still many homes on this area on the south side of Sunset still in jeopardy here as this fire very much out of control. One other point, we're seeing a lot more fire engines moving through here, strike teams moving through, if you will, the last couple of hours from LA City, moving up to the northern part of Sunset here as something we did not see on Radcliffe earlier. Look at that over there. Look at the embers just blowing around almost like a tornado effect of embers as this wind swirls through here. So you have the embers, you have the wind, and then you have visibility down to nothing as the smoke just comes through here and a wall of fire. But unfortunately, this building apartment building is lost, evacuated. We heard no injuries there. Everybody got out in time. A block over to our right to the east, the CVS pharmacy. Across the street, several restaurants there, well known to a lot of folks here in the village. They're gone. I just looked at them, burnt right to the ground. So damage here, extremely severe, unbelievable when you're in the heart of the Palisades. That this is the kind of a fire you usually see up in the hills somewhere in the canyons, but nothing that comes right through the heart of a downtown area like we're seeing at this moment.
Ed Lascos, thank you so much. On the line now is Margaret Stewart with LA City Fire. Thank you so much for taking the time out. Where does the firefight stand tonight as those winds are picking up?
We have not seen the worst of the winds yet. From now through the rest of the night, they're forecasted to be worsening. So unfortunately, this dangerous situation, we're nowhere near over. It's super important that everyone follows the evacuation orders. You showed the map earlier. Basically, anyone within Pacific Palisades area, all the way up to Mulholland, as well as Santa Monica, has now issued evacuations on that portion to the southeast of our map that hits Santa Monica. There's also evacuations there. We do know that we have injuries reported. We had a 25-year-old female LAFD firefighter who sustained a serious head injury, and there are multiple burn victims that were being treated and transported. So we ask people to please get out, stay out, and let us get in there and do our very best against this very extreme fire weather.
Do you have any more information about those injuries, how the firefighter is doing, and maybe any more details about the burn injuries? These are the folks that came to Dukes, right, with injuries?
Yes, we don't have details. As you can imagine, it's a very dynamic situation. Sure. So they were transported and taken care of. So we just don't have those kind of details right now. And our firefighter was transported to the hospital, and we don't have an update.
Margaret, what do you want our viewers to know tonight? As you just talked about the worst is yet to come. Given that, what's your word to them?
If there is anyone still in the evacuation zone, immediately leave. We cannot, redirecting resources to try to rescue people out who should have already left takes away from our firefighters out there defending homes and saving lives. So please leave now, as well as anyone, this is burning in a generally western direction. However, the fire creates added winds, and then those embers can travel, which is why our evacuation zone, is going in all directions. So anyone bordering the current evacuation zone needs to stay aware. They need to stay informed. They can follow our updates, lafd.org/alerts. They can get them to their phones or to their email. They need listen to and watch the local news. They need to have a go bag ready, the car facing out in the driveway, have a plan in place. And if they do get the order, then evacuate early and quick.
There are some people that may have stayed behind who just look at this and now are scared to leave, or maybe they don't know where to go, or it's, all the flames are around them, or the fire trucks are nearby. It's not easy to get in and out of these regions. What do you say to those people? Where to go, how to get out?
Well, there are law enforcement and firefighters, spread throughout the entire area. So if they see someone, they can ask for assistance and direct them out. This is why we ask people not to stay behind. We know that there's the desire to do so. However, these winds are unprecedented in our recent, we haven't had winds like this in a very long time. And it's very dangerous, and it's not worth trying to protect a building when we want to protect your life.
Earlier, there was the call that was put out by your agency, LAFD, asking any off-duty member to call because you need all basically hands on deck. How are your resources tonight?
Yes, and I also do just want to clarify for anyone watching, there was a misunderstanding that kind of went out across different channels that this is a recall protocol for LAFD members only. We're not asking for volunteers or any other firefighters. So we have a recall process that we execute when needed. and those that are off duty call in, and we can then schedule out any additional resources. So that process is underway by our Department Operations Center, and we have the resources to manage that.
And talk also about the concern, because this is the fire that's burning now, but the winds are supposed to be worse, as you mentioned, and there's not an insignificant chance that there could be another fire that breaks out overnight.
You know, it's entirely possible. We can't predict what might happen in that regards. We do also have the state agency, CAL FIRE, the incident management team, is going to be taking over the incident in the morning, and they are also the agency that coordinates resources from across the state to respond. So I don't have details on what the plan is right now, but they can call in resources from outside the region.
Any other parting thoughts before we let you go? No doubt you're busy.
Yeah, really, we just want to emphasize, our program Ready, Set, Go. Everyone needs to be ready. They need to have their bag prepared, have a communication plan in place, any important medications, stuff for your pets, have that already, because if you are in the expand, as it were to expand, especially towards the west and south, you need to already be prepared. So stay aware, and stay ready.
Margaret Stewart with LAFD, we thank you for taking the time out tonight. Thanks for all the hard work that your crews do, and you stay safe as well.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
We're going to go to Chelsea Edwards now, who is on the ground, who has been reporting for us near Pacific Coast Highway. Chelsea. Not sure if Chelsea can hear us. When she's ready, we will go back to her. In the meantime, we look at this live picture from our Santa Monica cam as this fire continues to get worse, and we really see those winds are whipping up. Let's go to Chelsea now. Chelsea.
If you can hear us, we are now driving north on PCH. Wow, that is a fireball on the right-hand side. So the fire is now on both sides of PCH. Oh, there's another home up in flames on the right-hand side. So it's on both sides, right near the intersection at Sunset Boulevard. We've kind of been in one place for a lot of this evening and a lot of this afternoon. But now we're mobile and we're heading toward Malibu. We're getting reports that there are some homes on the PCH side that are now up in flames. So that's where we're headed, toward the Topanga area. What we're seeing on PCH is just something else. I mean, these hillsides are just lit up. Home, that's another one. Home after home after home after home. I can feel the heat coming from the side of the truck, from the right-hand side where we're sitting. Now we're enclosed in the truck. I can also feel the wind just knocking the truck. I mean, these news vans are very top-heavy. We've got the gear on the top, and they're very tall. And I can feel it just grabbing it and kind of tossing it around as we're driving up PCH. The visibility extremely low. We can only see about 20 feet in front of us, I would say, as we're... Oh, I don't know about this, Elliot. Very low visibility and a lot of particles in the air. And again, just this glow from all up the hillside. We're actually in an area now where the fire no longer seems to be burning, but the smoke is so incredibly thick we can barely see in front of us with our headlights on. So it appears that at least that portion of the fire of the Pacific Palisades fire is in that area. But again, we're hearing these reports. There are some situations up in the Malibu area, closer toward Topanga. So that's where we're heading right now. We're hoping to be able to give you a live picture. Our camera has been up for the last 7 hours or so, just feeding back live. Elliot, what is this? Is this the feed barn? All right, I don't want to misreport here, but I believe this is, the iconic feed barn near Topanga Canyon. Yeah, that's gone. All right, so we've just passed Topanga Canyon. Wow, that whole thing is just flattened, which means that we're coming up toward the Reel Inn and Cholada Thai. Now, on the left-hand side, it's just spot fires. This fire jumped the PCH and burned everything that's on this side. I'm not seeing any homes on the left-hand side, which is the PCH side yet. But wow, the destruction here. You know what? This is the Reel Inn right here. It's gone. The Reel Inn is gone. No. There's nothing there. Cholada Thai, gone.
Yeah,
Wow.
I saw those images actually a little earlier tonight. In fact, those are on my social media. The real enchilada, all of that has been wiped out. That was at least 3 hours ago that those flames just wiped out those obviously landmark spots.
Chelsea? The devastation. I may have lost you, Marla and Alex.
No, you're there.
All right, we're coming up now to some fire activity. Oh, look, no, it is on this side. It is on the left side now. So we've got several fire engines here. This is a first, actually, for tonight. Yes, homes on the PCH side now are on fire. This is something we've not seen in a long time.
Meaning on the side of PCH closer to the ocean?
Yes, to the ocean. So the ocean side of PCH, there's one actively on fire right now. I can see what's left of another one that's just to our left. We have a huge firefighting presence here. And again, we have not seen that, at least for property protection, since we started, at 2 o'clock this afternoon or 1:30 this afternoon. This is the first time we've actually seen a firefight where they're trying to protect these properties, these homes on the left hand, on the ocean side of PCH. So they've got an active firefight up ahead. Oh, there's more homes up there. This is quite a few homes now that are impacted on the PCH side. Wow. We're going to get a little bit closer. We're going to see how far they'll let us in with our news van without, impeding the firefighting efforts, and see if we can get our live picture back up to get these batteries working again to show you what we're seeing, because this is pretty remarkable. This is something else.
Yeah, and I wonder also if your phone is working, if maybe Zoom is potentially an option too, to get some images out of there if need be. But Chelsea, thanks for all your extraordinary reporting all day long, and but really sad updates there to hear about so many iconic spots along the coast that so many of us have enjoyed for years. And you think of all the people that are impacted by this, all the employees, all the customers, everybody. That we're going to be talking about this and dealing with this for many years to come. Chelsea, stay safe. We'll get back with you soon.
Thanks, guys.
All right, our coverage continues here on Fox 11. The Palisades fire, of course, in the Palisades, and then the Eaton fire, that's the other fire that we're looking at tonight, that is in Altadena. Both are proving to be especially difficult firefights because of those destructive winds, which we knew were coming. We got wind of this, no pun intended, last week when Adam Kruger was forecasting that. In fact, Adam, why don't you join the coverage now and give us an update on, as we're past 10 o'clock and those wind speeds are expected to pick up.
Yeah, it's just, it's a little overwhelming, everything that's going on. I mean, you see just bad news after bad news. It's the unfortunate scenario we have. And yes, the winds have picked up in the last hour or so. You might remember going into this with the high wind warnings. The National Weather Service was saying at worst, there may be some isolated spots where gusts are as high as 80 to 100 miles per hour. That didn't quite pan out earlier in the day today, but we knew the strongest winds were coming. And now I see verification, at least on some of the higher elevation weather sensors. For example, there's one that's about halfway between Malibu and the Pacific Palisades, measured a 98 mile per hour gust about an hour ago. And we're seeing some gusts get over 90 miles per hour in the San Gabriel Mountains, a little bit north of Pasadena, where we have that other fire going on, the Eaton fire as well. So it's coming to fruition right now. The strongest winds are happening right now. They are peaking. They're expected to stay about this strong all through the night and up through about 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Then the speeds at least start slowly but surely backing down a little bit. Another thing that does not work in our favor heading into tomorrow is the air gets even a little bit drier tomorrow than what we're seeing today. And I do want to note that while we're focused a lot on where these fires are going on, there are extreme weather conditions happening all across Southern California right now. And even if you take the fire aspect out of this, it's a major wind event, just simply the winds. There's going to be a lot of wind damage likely across a lot of Southern California as well. I want to show you just real quickly some of these evacuation maps. I know it's kind of scrunched in right here, but this is the Pacific Palisades fire right here. Here's the evacuation order that extends into the northern parts of Santa Monica. San Vicente is kind of the border between the order, which is mandatory, and the evacuation warning, which is optional, but you might want to get ready to go if you have to. That goes all the way down to Montana Avenue in Santa Monica. Fire.ca.gov if you want a closer look at some of these maps. I'll also show you near the Eaton fire what the evacuation map looks like. So pass it.
They're all gone. You want the video?
Now I believe you.
No, I thought you could send it to her if she wants it. I don't know. I live in Pasadena and teach. So I used to be a photojournalist, so I'm like, okay, well, I'm in this weird, like, journalist, but maybe not a reporter. I went around the corner. As far as I can see, the whole street's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Loaded onto a Pasadena SWAT vehicle, and they were taken to the Pasadena Convention Center. So that's the main evacuation shelter they're working with right now. if you're not familiar with the area so much, Pasadena and Altadena are like right back to back. So a fire of this magnitude starting in Altadena, people are evacuated there. Pasadena is going to jump in with all the resources they have as a bigger city to help out. And we've seen not only the city helping people, but other people coming out here to help their neighbors. Talked to one gentleman earlier who said he busted out the window on his friend's apartment complex to make sure that he could get her out. And he said she didn't know that the fire was burning right behind it at the time. So I'm sure they're probably, gosh, look at the flames coming off this condo right here. I'm sure there are other people that didn't know that the fire was this close to them until probably they heard the fire alarm next door and came outside and saw this. But it's just unbelievable. And, you know, we know that this fire exploded because the vegetation's so dry right now and we have these incredible winds. So we're just expecting to see more of this get worse overnight, you guys.
So much, Nicole. We're going to get a reset now at just after 10:30, actually 10:32 here on KCAL News at 10. We have fires burning in Pasadena. Flames from the Altadena fire that Nicole was just talking about have spread to the corner of Del Rey and Woodland Street, right down from the street from where a crews evacuated dozens of people. You're looking at those pictures there. They are at a senior center, or they were evacuated from a senior center late tonight.
Also new at 10:30, the Palisades fire has moved into Malibu tonight. Evacuation warnings for this fire now stretching into Calabasas, Malibu, Brentwood, and Santa Monica. More than 10,000 homes threatened at this hour.
And the extreme winds have been toppling trees. We have new pictures just in of a large down tree on Cahuenga Boulevard and Toluca Lake. That windstorm also knocking out power to thousands of people across SoCal. And we have much more new at 10:30. Mike Rogers on the desk. Mike.
Yeah, Pat and Susie, what's happening right now? There are two new fires burning. One in both of them in the San Fernando Valley, one in the Sylmar area, one in the Sun Valley area. I want to start with the one in the Sun Valley area. Come to my computer in here and I'll show you that this started as a commercial fire off the side of the 5 freeway at Lankershim Boulevard. It then spread to brush. So that is what the situation is. This is video from the Citizen app that is currently burning. Now, there is a second new fire that is happening off the 210 freeway and Yarnell. I'm going to pull this over to my screen because I want to show you this. This is a very grainy Alert California camera. It's all I've got at the moment to show you. We do have a crew headed that way, but you can see the fire on the hillside there. For reference there, this is right behind Olive View Medical Center. This was first reported to the CHP. I'm reading the CHP log here. First of all, they're going to close, looks like, portions of the 210. Let me just get back to this really quickly here. But yeah, Foothill Boulevard and Yarnell is where it came in. There was a report of a fire in this location. That's the camera you're looking at here. A large fire started above Olive View Medical is what a 911 caller reported to CHP. Another caller called in and said the fire is moving quickly and headed towards the freeway. Another caller called in and said that they thought they saw a power line explode on the side of the mountain, and now it's on fire. And another person, and actually a unit called in, they have visual of the fire. They say from the southbound 5 of the 14, that CHP unit reported to their dispatch center that the whole mountainside was on fire. Again, this is the 210 at Yarnell. This is a new fire. Another CHP unit reporting that there is heavy smoke across the 210 freeway at Yarnell. Another unit there reporting that the fire is coming up to houses on Yarnell at the 210. I don't remember what year it was, but there was a fire that burned in this exact same area. And if I remember correctly, started at the 210 at Yarnell. It was before COVID, burned up into the hillsides, jumped the 5, came into the Porter Ranch area, and then moved over to the west. And it may have been 2018, somewhere around there, 2018, 2019, after the Woolsey fire. But that is in now the exact same area. So now we're dealing with yet another fire. We're going to work to get some better images than this, but this is what I have right now for you is another Alert California wildfire camera. Foothill and Yarnell Boulevard. CHP is on scene. Fire department is on scene as well. Another very not good situation for where this fire has started, guys.
Wow. All right, Tom. We've got so much to talk about tonight, and that was just new reporting from Mike Rogers. But, you know, we're going to go back to that the Palisades Malibu fire where we've been watching Tom Waite all night long, reporting from different different spots there, and they all seem to be just as bad.
Yeah, Tom, what is the situation now? Has it gotten worse?
Gosh, you guys, it's just bad. I mean, it's just sustained bad, awful. I don't even know. Those are the words right now. It's a really ugly situation. We're on Temescal Canyon right now. just between Sunset and PCH. And from where we're sitting, it looks like that's a home burning just in the distance there at the top of the hill. Obviously, we don't know for sure, but that's what it looks like from where I'm standing. But really, as we turn more, Greg, to the side of the road here to Temescal Canyon, I mean, that's where it's pretty clear there's at least one structure up there burning and possibly more. It's just fire everywhere, and it's the winds are just unrelenting. We were just live a few minutes ago on that apartment fire, and I had even with goggles I had so much soot in my eyes. I went back to the truck and flushed out, like grabbed a water bottle just to get all that stuff out of my eyes. I can only imagine what firefighters are dealing with. They are just taking the brunt of all of this, and just walking directly into these dangerous situations and battling these fires. I really don't, in my 11 years here at KCBS KCal, I cannot remember a situation like this where there's just no let up. It just keeps going. I mean, maybe a few minutes here and there, but these gusts are so strong, and they don't stop. And this is why we are where we are. I mean, just down at the base of the hill here, there's a little just sort of hotspot, but it poses such a threat because the embers that are blowing just blow up into another structure, and that's what the concern is. You can't get control of these situations when you have a windstorm like this. I mean, it's like I've never been in a hurricane. I've been in tornadoes, covered those, and it feels a little bit like that. It's just crazy. And I'm just looking up and down Temescal, and I see hot spots and smoldering vegetation. I see what looks like at least 2 structures burning. And we'll obviously get the count in the coming days of how much has been destroyed, but it's really mind-boggling to just sort of drive around and see so many buildings burning and firefighters doing sorry, Greg, go ahead. Okay, we're coming back. Yeah, we're coming back to look on this side of Temescal and just kind of give, I believe this is like the south side view. And yeah, there's just fire everywhere, right? Everywhere you look along this hillside, all you see is burning vegetation. And then, Greg, let's just spin back over to that house over there. I think it's a house. I'm not certain what it is, but it appears to be a home there that's burning on the top of that hill. And it's fully involved and engulfed, and there's still fresh fuel burning in that house. Oh my gosh, wow, for like a second it's not blowing at us like 1,000 miles per hour. It feels amazing. But it's just lasts for like 2 seconds and it's back. So when you're trying to put a fire out and you're spraying water on these structures, you got to like be right on top of it, right? Because otherwise the water just blows every which way, so it disperses, especially with the air support. Obviously the wind creates its own challenges just for aircraft, but then when you try to drop water on top of something and the winds are blowing and these massive gusts, it just blows the water away. So it just presents this exasperating challenge for firefighters, who I'm sure are looking at the forecasters and seeing what's being reported, and it must just be mind-numbing to think, how is this going to go on for days? How can we do this, right? I mean, and people who live here, the evacuees, people who are watching all this, wondering, how can we do this, right? I mean, the good news is, what's so incredible about Angelenos, and I've noticed this tonight, is the kindness and the desire to do what was right, which was evacuate when firefighters said to do so. People come together, and that is really one of the few silver linings here, right? I've just been so taken by talking to people who are scared, obviously, but they did what they needed to do. They got out when they needed to get out, and they're worried for their neighbors, their loved ones. I had one. My aunt was evacuated tonight from her home in Palisades. She's lived there since the 70s, and another friend said, "Hey, does she need a place to stay?" Which was so sweet. But I have lots of family here in town, so she does have a place. But that's the kind of thing you hear in these situations, in these emergencies. People reaching out, saying, "Look, I'm going to help. You know, you're not alone." And I love that. That's the one thing you can really like latch onto right now when you're standing in a storm of doom that's blowing fire and destruction in every which way around you. You have to hold on to those moments, right? To the people who are suffering, but at the same time trying to see the best and to see the brighter spots of humanity. So not to get on my little soapbox, but I have to say in such a dark night with so much terrible stuff going on, I think it is important to focus on some of the amazing humanity we've seen tonight.
Out there, Tom, and quite different than when you were in Malibu. We thought that was something horrific. The Franklin fire just last month, where Tom, you were probably in some of the close to the exact location. And this time, though, what is so heartbreaking to see all the fires, but at the same time, one of the main reasons we know why they are burning like this is because of the wind and because we are at the mercy of the weather because we can't have aircraft overhead. Not even just when you talk about the choppers flying to drop water, to stop the fire, even the fixed wing that dropped that marvelous SPOS check that helped stop the spread or slow the spread. They're not even able to do that. So right now, you know, this is a situation that we haven't been in before, where we're sort of left to just the resources that we have on the ground. And even then, we're pretty thin, Susie, but I'm sure our people are staying. When I say our people, our fire department, they're staying on top of this. They're asking anyone who can suit up, who's a firefighter, to please do so. But hopefully, even by tomorrow